And as we are drying out here in New York City, uh, moving through the day on Can You Dig Sports, I want to shift to something completely different from regular gridiron or diamond talk because, in New York City, we now are watching, well, those who are avid Modell's fans, we now have to roll by the desolate spaces that were once Modell's stores. And rolling by it today in Lower Manhattan, I felt this urge to talk about my really, really big liking for Fanatics sports. So much so I applied to become an ambassador, and somehow I won, or my application was accepted. But Fanatics is intriguing to me because it's a company that was started in 1995. Only has 1,800 employees. 1,800 employees! But it's landed the biggest 2021 MLB star as the sole distributor of his memorabilia. I'm referring to Shohei Ohtani. So how did Fanatics do this? Well, they became, I believe they just partnered with all the MLB shop, the NBA shop, the NHL shop. Because no matter what shop you are at right now, even college football, it's linked to Fanatics. They are forever linked right now. And I think it's pretty cool. But I think it's even more awesome because they have found a way to be the one. In 1995, Modell's was the talk of the town. Heck, in New York City, we still have a place called Grand Slam Sports, which my girlfriend and I actually bought Green Bay Packers shirts. Rogers, yes, we're going to twin at some point. But Grand Slam Sports, one of the only sports stores left in New York City, and I'm praying that they survive 2021. We'll have to see. But I do believe that the Fanatics story and rise is so cool. Because it shows that, and it was by Kinetic, by the way. And they also have Fanatics Live. They have different forms of Fanatics. By the way, it's really raining here. I hope you're staying dry and safe. But in 2021 alone, they expect to draw about $3.4 billion in revenue, up from $2.6 billion in 2020. And then, overall, according to Wall Street Journal, the valuation of Fanatics has risen to $18 billion. As investors from Jay-Z and Major League Baseball and then online gambling is working its magic for Fanatics Inc. So a mom and pop place basically in 1995 has now linked with the big guys. And that's how you get it done. That is the American dream right there. And so I'm very thankful for Fanatics because they've been a source of not just one team, but so many different things. As they have blockbuster licensing deals. And it inked an MLB trading card deal. And then it's going to go IPO. Holy crap. You want to do this? Michael Rubin is going IPO with this. With a valuation of $18 billion. So I've never been one in stocks, but as a Fanatics ambassador, I might try it. And by the way, the NBA dropped Spalding and linked with Wilson, just an example of all these other mergers that have taken place. But this one with Fanatics launching at a very, very, very good rate, gives me hope that sports stores may not really need to be brick and mortar. Could really be online. And, they offer payment plans, they offer the ambassadorship, they're very involved social media wise. And so with the IPO launching, Fanatics Inc. is something to look forward to and look out for, really, if you're any other clothing entity, because obviously it seems that they've taken up where the Modell's void left it. And so, what about you? Have you ever purchased a Fanatics? And by the way, that shop launch, that shoe launch I mentioned, happening at Fanatics. Champ Sports will be a thing of the past. Under Armour never will die. Nike will not die. But Fanatics, they are going to live on for quite a while. And I think I think that so. Instagram messaged me this or emailed me this. What is your favorite sports store to buy stuff from? I mean, you have Modell's, you have Champs, you have Grand Slam Sports in New York. And they have a whole selection of not just New York stuff, but out of town jerseys as well. They have a Josh Allen jersey, which I might still get because they're upstate and they're still a New York team. They're the only New York legit team, considering they're in New York State. But Michael Rubin, who started this, owns it, going to launch it, IPO. And I just think it's so cool that they've launched with companies like 47, Adidas, Majestic, Mitchell, and that's how you do it. You match up with all these different places. And here's what I was looking for, the history of it. It actually started as a brick and mortar in Orange Park Mall, focused on the Jacksonville Jaguars and the local collegiate team merchandise. So in Jacksonville, you're probably going to see the Gators. You're probably going to see Florida State. You're probably going to see USF, University of South Florida. And again, brick and mortar. They had started to grow. Alan and Mitch Traeger, brothers that opened Football Fanatics in 1995. And we can see how this growth is happening. Second store opened in Avenues Mall. Then they did online in early 2000. And the company began as a customer-centric organization to consider customers first in everything we do. And then through affiliate marketing, repeat customer business, and acquisitions, Fanatics started to grow. They even bought out collegefootballstore.com, which I kind of remember. I don't remember it entirely, but then they ended up buying Rupp shirts out of Tallahassee, Florida. You can see they continue to buy up. And then in 2011, 10 years ago, Fanatics was purchased by GSI Commerce, led by Michael G. Rubin, for $171 million in cash and $106 million in common stock from GSI. Then Fanatics was bought outright from eBay in 2012. And now Michael Rubin, who bought all this out for $171 million in cash, $106 million in common stock, owns 72% of Fanatics. And as of June 2014, Fanatics was valued at $3.1 billion. Maybe some of you heard of this until recently, but with the closing of Modell's, I think they capitalized 100% on that. And then Fanatics became signing deals with Under Armour. They've been they replaced Majestic as the on-field uniform provider as of 2020. I remember that as a kid having Majestic jerseys. They're probably still in my collection. But Fanatics is the talk of the town, is the town. And I think it's just so cool that this little storefront in 1995 is now about to do IPO and $18 billion. Oh, before I forget tonight, I'll get to this in a second, but to put a cap on this, Fanatics partners with NBA, NFL, NASCAR, NHL, MLB, MLS, and even women's wear, which is pretty cool. And they even teamed up with Erin Andrews on a line of clothing. So, they also launched a multi-year partnership with Overwatch League. But so, you could see this growth from a storefront to this online jump is why they are today going to be a leader, and they are a leader right now in the sports clothing world, sports clothing world, and memorabilia world. They also took advantage, I think, of when Brandon Steiner, we've had him on the podcast, Brandon Steiner had left the scene because he was a huge New York provider, and Fanatics kind of just can have all kind of realms. We'll have to see what happens here down the stretch for Fanatics. But IPO, I'm talking about investing in a stock. I'm an ambassador for Fanatics ambassadorship. I might just do something crazy and invest in that stock. I don't know, but sure got a lot of shirts from there, that's for sure. And speaking of shirts, I'm determining whether to get Zach Wilson or not, but Tony Romo may have cinched it for me even before first snap for the Jet QB of the future. Today, he has been praising and lauding the top draft pick for the Jets, Zach Wilson, believing he will be one of the top 3 to 5 quarterbacks. By the way, he's still doing CBS very quickly. He said, I actually think Zach Wilson with the Jets is going to turn around the franchise. Going to turn that franchise around. He said, I think Zach Wilson is going to be in the discussion as one of the top 3 to 5 quarterbacks very quickly. I think you're going to see him rise. I think he's unbelievable. His ceiling is so high. It's rare for me to say someone has the ability to get in the stratosphere of Patrick Mahomes. You know, that guy who happened to win a Super Bowl one of his first seasons in, that guy. But I think this kid actually has that ability. So when you have a quarterback like that, I think there's no telling how good you can be. Well, the Jet fans will tell him. The Jet fans will tell him when they open up here against the, against the Jets, because they're on the road in week 1 against the Patriots, but I believe they are doing their home opener week 2 against New England. Let me just double check that. As yes, they open up against the Patriots. And what a first test against Mac Jones and the Patriots. Coming to a MetLife Stadium near you. Get hyped. If Romo believes it, say what you want about him, but he was the Dallas Cowboys leader in a lot of different categories. Jerry Jones argues he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think that's a little biased, but he might have a point. After all, he was leading in a lot of categories, the Cowboys. But he says Zach Wilson, like in the same stratosphere as Patrick Mahomes, this early on without doing a snap. We'll see how wise that judgment is. Way before that. I mean, week 1 we'll see. Because the Jets will take on the Panthers in Carolina, where they will face Sam Darnold. I have the Darnold jersey in my closet here. But no, if Zach Wilson does do well, I'm sorry, but Fanatics, I'm going to go to you again for a Jet Zach Wilson jersey. Mark my words. On Alex Garrett Podcasting, on Can You Dig Sports, on the Sports Hour with Alex Garrett. Thanks again to Jay Horowitz for joining me this show. And again, keep an eye on the vaccination policies with the NBA. Keep an eye on what happens with the Mets in that aftermath. Zach Scott, the acting GM after being arrested for DWI, no longer going to be traveling with the team, as the Mets say they are further determining what to do with him since the DWI. And the rise of Fanatics and the partnership with Shohei Ohtani. Where does that all lead to? And the investments by Jay-Z and co. Where does that all lead to? Well, an $18 billion valuation for Fanatics Inc. Pretty good for a sports clothing store that started as a storefront. Just, having fun with the Jaguars and other collegiate teams. Boy, have they gone way above the moon since that. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Sports Hour with Alex Garrett.